The issue of state-sanctioned abductions in Kenya has become a thorn on the flesh, and now it's high time we as Kenyans devise means of curbing this issue, because the government either remains adamant on the issue, or whenever they speak about it, since they are the ones being accused of it, we always come on the defensive side. Many a times, President William Ruto has come to deny those claims of abductions live on television as much as we see them happening. President William Samuel Ruto, even the other day, just offered an apology to the Kenyans as a whole, to the Gen Zs who might have lost their lives during the Gen Zs demonstrations backed up with the millennials. Now, it didn't take much time before Rose Njeri, an activist, was arrested in broad daylight because of just having a civic education website that was meant to collect opinion on the proposed Finance Bill 2025. And when you see the charges leveled against him, they are saying that he interfered with the parliamentary mail system and spammed it with thousands of emails. Now, how is that even possible? All that Jerry was doing was to make sure that Kenyans are offered a platform to read the finance bill and give their opinion on what they think about the finance bill, whether they will accept it in totality, whether they are going to reject it in totality, or whether there are sections they are going to accept or some sections they are going to reject and offer room for amendment. There are just so many bills that have been passed without public participation in accordance with the law. Therefore, they have gone against the law. Ruto's regime is becoming so insensitive to human dignity, such that when you criticize the government in whatever way you feel they are doing wrong, then the next thing we hear from you is that you are missing and you are abducted by some state officers, yet clearly the government will come and deny it. Boniface Mwangi was arrested in Tanzania, detained unlawfully, tortured, at least according to his explanation. No human being needs to be subjected to the kind of humiliation that Boniface Mwangi and Agatha, the activist from Uganda, went through. Now, immediately after they explained their escapade, and remember, they were saying, they were threatened that if they want to remain alive, they should not try to share any information of whatever thing happened to them in those abduction centers. Yet, a week has not passed since they shared their ordeal, the painful experience, the torturing that happened in the torture chambers. Boniface Mwangi again was abducted. Kenyans, my question is this: isn't it high time that we as a people should decide to stop these abductions, because it is so clear that our disciplined forces are being used for political settle of scores, other than giving service to all. We have proved that the problem is not the system. The problem is the people running the system. I'm going to give you an example. In the shootout that led to the assassination of Kasipul, Member of Parliament, Were, it did take them less than 2 weeks to establish the CCTV footages. The CCTV footages that were not working, the CCTV cameras that were not working, all of a sudden began working. Suspects were brought to book. A case was established. After the bringing into light the persons who were behind the shootings of the Gen Zs on 25th June 2024 in the BBC documentary Blood Parliament. Up to date, none of the officers have been apprehended. We even had any statement from the IPOA, which they say is the independent police authority that investigates the conduct of the police. Up to date, they haven't issued a statement on how they are dealing with the suspects that Blood Parliament gave critical analysis about. The president, in one of the international interviews, admitted, either knowingly or unknowingly, that all the persons that were abducted were released to their families, which confirmed to us that the president knew who were the specific persons abducting Kenyans, and he knows who are giving those orders. The former Attorney General spoke about this when his son was abducted. He called Newton Haj, but then claimed he doesn't know the whereabouts of his son. He did calls, I'm talking about Muturi. He called the president calls the DCI boss, asks them, are you holding Muturi's son? And they said yes. At what time are you planning to release him? In less than an hour's time. And he was released. If an attorney of the government, if a servant of the government, a high-ranking servant of the government, is someone whose son will be abducted, at least he had the phone numbers and the buttons to press in such a distressing situation. What of you, a common man? What of you, a common citizen? The next thing we are going to hear is of someone who has been found dead, murdered, because it is becoming a norm. Dear Kenyans, should we sit back and see as our fellow countrymen are being slain like chicken, or are being slain like animals ready to be served as meals? There are certain things that are happening worse than you can even expect them to happen to your enemies. It is high time that we rise and defend ourselves, because clearly the government has shown to be against anyone who will be criticizing any wrong move that they are making. Why is the government so insensitive? We know the popularism of William Samuel Ruto, the president, has gone down because of his fake promises and the pathological lying that he has engaged in. He's been touring the country, giving promises day in, day out, and none of them is being fulfilled. He has been one of the deceivers. He's deceiving Kenyans. Look at the house levy issue. I've been talking about it almost each and every podcast that I hold. What lanes are we heading to? It is time to protect ourselves. We may not have guns. We may not have machine guns. We may not have sophisticated weapons. But we will have something to defend ourselves with. And Kenyans, by the way, it is time that we devise means of demonstrations. What if we do civil disobedience? We just wake up one day and decide, for those who work in these government offices, all of you decide that today we are going to work. Those who are selling in the market, we decide we are not going to sell in the market. We are not going to open our shops. In terms of feeding, then we get to community feeding. We have our mothers who shall be preparing meals for us. For those who have, produce from the farm, you can, prepare that. We survive with that as we do some civic disobedience, so that we see how they are going to run the government without our taxes. Sometimes we need to be smarter rather than working harder. That is just my take, because I don't see the need why the government of the day will deem it fit to abduct its citizen until this thing in the zone of the East African community is becoming something that is so common. Whenever you criticize the government, you become the biggest enemy of the government. Look at Uganda, Kizza Besigye. Look at Tanzania, Tundu Lissu. Look here in Kenya. Anyone who's trying to cross lines with the government is finding himself. If you are a dignitary or a leader, your security is being withdrawn. If you're a common man, you are being abducted and tortured and leaving you there to fight for your life. We cannot continue this way as a nation. We can't continue this way as a people. We have to unite, because remember, the moment we lose our fear, they lose their power. What's your take? Give me your thought in the comment section below. If you're watching from our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe and press the notification button, so anytime that we upload content of this nature, anytime that we are live, you'll be the very first person to be notified. Ahmed Halif is my name for the Unscripted Talks here in Dub Radio. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kwa timba kali za Afrika, Dub Radio ndio mpango mzima.